Whoa. Hello, CQ. Hello, CQ. CQ, the Old Friends Net. Time for the Tuesday edition of the Old Friends Get Together. This is W4MEC, net control for today. I hope. Yeah, that's right. And Old Friends Net meets 3 times a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 a.m. On 3715 plus or minus, Sundays at 6 p.m. The Old Friends Net is carried out in amplitude modulation mode in a round table fashion. I'll take check-ins a couple times through the net and get everybody seated at the table. This is a great place to, if you got something you want to sell or something you're looking to buy, maybe a part so you need to fix something, this is a great place to go fishing. And let's see, what is the other thing? Amplitude modulation. Oh, yeah. And while we're primarily focused on vintage gear, anybody that can generate an AM signal is welcome to join. So, for those wishing to participate, please give W4MEC a call and come now.
Good morning, Charlie. WA4LLR.
And 4LQ.
B4ARK.
K4GDN. B.
WA4EVK.
K3OS. I had a double with Buddy. Was that George, K4GDN?
Yeah, I was in there.
That was me, LQ.
No, I got you, Steve. That was George there, K4GDN. So far, I've got Dave, WA4LLR, Steve, N4LQ, Buddy, WB4ARK, George, K4GDN, John, KZ4B, Boone, WA4EVK, and Gary, K3OS. Any more for round one? Come now. Okay. And so here's our list so far. Just make a note who's ahead of you and who's behind you. LLR, LQ, ARK, GDN, 4 Bravo, EVK, and OS. So real good, fellas. Got as many checking in today right now as we did on Noisy Sunday. Boy, that was brutal. And for some reason, the static crashes here just seemed a little more intense. So much so that I had to run a noise limiter, which is unusual. Anyway, they just seemed louder than normal, and really didn't see any. You saw one faint lightning flash. The rest of it was just thunder. But one of those distant flashes, you know, just flash and then like 10 seconds later, boom. So, but we made it through, and this today is a heck of a lot quieter. So, so we got 71 or 2 degrees here. I don't know, partly cloudy skies. The sun's peeking through. And let's get started with Dave, WA4LLR, W4MEC.
Okay, Charlie, fine business, W4MEC, and the Old Friends, WA4LLR. Well, good morning again to everybody. We've got about 68 degrees, partly cloudy up here in Burnsville, and what a difference a day makes. Yeah, Sunday was something else. We had static crashes over the moon, and it was a struggle for sure. But good to hear everybody clearly this morning. run the Johnson 500 and the HRO 50 T1 or TI. And not a whole lot going on yesterday. Spent all day yesterday in Asheville, and it was hot as blazes out there. I had a dermatology appointment. Wife had a doctor's appointment, but that went well enough. So our high here today, they're saying, is about 84, with about a 50% chance of showers. Didn't get any rain yesterday or last night, so hopefully today. So Steve, down to you, N4LQ, WA4LLR.
WA4LLR, N4LQ. Well, that Johnson 500 does sound good. And I sent out a link to D-Lab's video, and on the end of that, you'll be able to listen to the recording by Mr. Johnson, the founder of the Johnson Company. And he goes through his own life history on the record and so forth. Kind of a cool little video. And Johnson is now owned by Kenwood, in case you didn't know that, which makes you feel good. If you're running a Johnson Ranger, it's a Kenwood Ranger. So anyhow, Sunday, well, yeah, definitely a brutal day. And we got 2 3/4 inches of rain. It really hit Shelby. And we had a big red spot on the radar setting over us, and it was a fantastic light show and thunder booming like I hadn't heard for years. So there you go. We finally got our own little storm here. So, buddy, WB4ARK to take it, N4LQ.
N4LQ. WB4ARK. Okay, Steve, your signal was down a little bit this morning. Not sure what's going on there. We're back on the Cliff Hensley ART-13, doing some final checkouts and trying to figure out why the Pan-Am circuit's not working. And so everything else checked out quite well. I was glad to see all the auto-tune circuits were in good shape, not like Charlie's unit. Boy, I had a real time with that unit. That I think it was auto-tune the multi-turn unit had several of the Paul springs. Someone had stuck something in there, I think, while the unit was running, and a couple of the springs were all mangled up. When I first saw it, I almost threw up my hands and walked away from it. I just didn't think it would be possible to get those springs back in the proper configuration that they should be in to do the job. That was really a difficult problem, but I worked on it for a couple of days and was able to get I think there was about 4 springs that were messed up on that auto-tune unit, and it was a real problem. So we got that done, and the unit was in very good condition except for that problem. But like I said, what I had read and what I had seen, that would have been a junker, that's for sure, or that module would have to be replaced, and I didn't have another one. So yeah, that's the way it goes with these units. And one of the premier persons who knew more about these units than any of us has now passed away, Yoder. And so I think from now on it's going to be tough to get one repaired unless you have someone in your area that knows something about the units. They're very difficult to work on mechanically and electrically because they're so packed. Sometimes you have to take a module out to repair it. It's so dense. But luckily, all of the capacitors and resistors in this unit checked out really good, and so I'm happy about that. Well, let me see. Who does it go to? It goes to K4GDN, WB4ARK.
WB4ARK in the group K4GDN. Sonny, would you give me a rundown on the list after me? I didn't copy Charlie.
It goes KZ4B.
Copy that.
KZ4B.
Okay, thank you, buddy. Well, it's about 80 degrees here at Myrtle Beach this morning. The sun is out, but it's cloudy. We got a little bit of rain yesterday. We're expecting some more, I guess, for the rest of the week. And it's been unbearably hot. I'm on the BMW 5100B this morning, I guess putting out about 100 watts, receiving on the HRO 5A1 and an NC300. And right now, it looks like I'm going to be able to make it to the Shelby Hamfest. We've got reservations at RV Park there in Roebuck coming in on Thursday before the Shelby, and hope to be up there on Saturday. I've got some equipment I would like to try to sell. This Craftsman owns the 5100B is one of the units. I'm trying to get downsized before we make a move back up in the next 18 to 24 months. We're going to move back to the upstate. I'd like to sell the 5100B and the sideband generator, and I'm also considering selling the NC300 and an HQ110A that I've got. Just try to get things a little bit lighter, particularly before we move up. So with that, I'm going to turn it on to you, John. KZ4GDN.
Okay, K4GDN in the group. This is KZ4 Bravo. Fine business, George. Some QS Baker on your signal, but didn't miss a word. I haven't heard any stuff. It sounds like there was some talk of lightning in the area, but haven't heard any static crashes, just QS Baker. Well, Buddy, it's glad to know somebody that really knows how to work on ART-13s. I've got a nice looking one that I used to use, but one of the stages is frozen up, so I may need to come see you. I've got some spare parts, but it may take open heart surgery to get her straightened out. Great transmitters. It adds new meaning to the term hi-fi as far as the audio. Just love the ART-13. It was a nightmare yesterday. It rained and rained and rained and rained, and so my irrigation pump is doing its job. It's a rainmaker. It doesn't have to do any work itself. We don't care how we get it as long as the ground is wet. I made good progress on my 160 meter, I'll call it a folded dipole. It's not, but I need to get outside and verify the lengths of the two arms. I got the center insulator hooked up, and the pigtails that will go to my 80-meter antenna, and so I can't do much more without actually getting outside. So we'll see if Mother Nature cooperates. So I guess it goes to boom. WA4EVK in the group, KZ4B over.
KZ4B in the group, WA4EVK. Well, fine business there, John. I have decided that my back deserves freedom from any more really heavy iron, so I do agree that the rig has, Art 13 has some of the best audio around, transmit-wise, that I've ever heard. And George, while I remember it, I have not forgotten you about the Geiger-Mueller tubes and other information. Got a friend of mine in Houston who was the tech manager in one of my former companies, is digging around. My stuff is packed up and I haven't found it yet, but I haven't forgot about it. I'll dig it out. It should be interesting to you on those detectors. Sunday, I didn't try to get on Sunday. It would have been lightning suicide. We had a storm sitting close. It's not overhead, close. Wasn't any lack of entertainment from bang and then roll, I'll tell you that. Running a AF-68 into a Swan Mark 1 into a in-fed half-wave cut for 160, using it on 180. It makes a great antenna. And SDR receiver so I can tune out all the noise in the neighborhood. And with that, I'm going to send it back to Charlie. W4MEC, WA4EVK.
Well, it goes to Gary, K3OS. Take it away, Gary, W4MEC.
Hey, Charlie and Boone. W4MEC in the group, K3OS. Good morning, everybody. From hot and stickery hickory. While you guys south and whatever of me were being deluged in rain, we had rain, but I'm hard pressed to see maybe a quarter of an inch in the rain gauge. So you guys took the south of me took the brunt of it. I saw it on the radar map. We just had some light rain, which was needed, but nowhere near enough to even be measurable here. But meanwhile, I've been working outside here. I've got the supports to my deck in the back get hit with the sun in the afternoon. And I'm getting after that. Got to get some. I cleaned it and took the mold off of that yesterday. Scrubbed it down, scraped it. Today I'm going to do a little filling in of some of the cracks on the support beams, and then we'll get to prime it and restain it. Hopefully later this week. Good news is that it doesn't get hit with the sun until probably about 1 o'clock. So as long as I get most of this work done early in the morning, which I plan on doing, I should be in good shape. Going to take me a few days, but something I really needed to do. So let me turn it back to Charlie now. W4MEC, K3OS.
Okay, Gary, K3OS in the group, W4MEC, real good. Do we have any more chickens that would like to join the old Friends Net? Come now.
W4WU, Charlie.
WB4NKM.
WB4NKL.
Richard, W4WU, Larry, WB4NKM, and Cliff, WB4NKL. Any more? Okay, let's see. Richard, you'll follow Gary next time, and then Larry, you're after Richard, and Cliff after Larry, and back to me. So go ahead and make a comment there. W4WU in the group, W4MEC.
Okay, thank you, Charlie. Good morning to everybody. Well, I had an interesting past few days. I was telling somebody at the luncheon about the TL 922 that I got a hold of. It's a long story, but I was having trouble. It wouldn't dip on 160, 80, and 40. Finally traced it down to a solder joint, of all things. And once I got that done, it seems to work much better. I'm on the 32V3 and 75A3 this morning, and inside, a fan dipole for antenna. Yesterday I decided I was going, about 9 o'clock I decided I'd go fishing over to Friend's Pond that I do quite often. And I happened to walk through the living room and just glanced out the window, and in that storm that everybody's talking about, we had here at Calpins too, with about 3 inches of rain in about an hour and a half time. But a limb about 8 inches in diameter, big old maple tree in my front yard, was laying on the ground. And so I called my son-in-law, my grandson, son-in-law's school system, so he's out right now, but came over and had to go get me a new electric chainsaw from Lowe's. My old gasoline was been dead for a long time. And after about an hour's worth of work in the heat, we got her all fixed up, so everybody's happy. So anyway, things are working better. I'm hoping to get up to Salisbury this weekend and take a little bit more equipment I need to dispose of. So over to you, Larry. WB4NKM. It's W4W in the group.
Okay, thank you, Richard. W4W. I guess. I can't read my own writing here, but we'll get it right next time. This is Larry, WB4NKM up in Wise, Virginia. Good morning to everybody. All the signals are great. Excellent copy on everybody this morning. We're getting in here a little bit late, but we made it. Hadn't been in here in a while. Took a few notes. Heard Boone with a blasting signal off of the AF-68 coming in here. And John, you're sounding good. On the rain, Gary, we got about the same rain as you did, sounds like, about a quarter of an inch, so we could use some more. As a matter of fact, the neighbors are out here mowing this morning, so it didn't wet the ground too much with that going on. Running the Johnson Ranger 1 here this morning with Maritron 811 amplifier, running about 100 watts. And the antenna is the end-fed half-wave, and listening on the Hammerlin HQ170A. Cliff, you sound good up here. Hadn't talked to you in a while, so I'll switch her down to you. WB4NKL from WB4NKN.
WB4NKM. It's WB4NKL. Okay, good morning to everybody. I'm running a Ranger 2 here this morning. Norms I've been messing with. And I've been getting some hum reports. I'll have to get back into it and check it out a little closer. But I'm running in the amplifier with a pair of 813s. And conditions are pretty good. Everybody's a booming in. Man, I was a little late getting around. I was still tied up on 3885 when the net started. Let's see. Good deal, Richard, on fixing the amplifier. It's funny how those pesky little problems can cause you. You know, they look major when you're first looking at them, and then it turns out to be something simple. But it's not simple when you're hunting for it. And buddy, my ART-13 is sounding great. I was looking at that schematic on that little speech preamp, and I was wondering if you could run that microphone input transformer. Since we're running D104s on them, I wonder what it would do just to bypass that transformer and run the microphone straight into the grid of that first preamp tube, which is normally how they do it in most transmitters. So might give that a try just and until I find one, see how it works out. It might work okay since we were using D104 for a little more drive. I guess that transformer is just impedance matching transformer. So send it on around. Go ahead, Charlie. W4 MECs, WB4 NKL.
Okay, Cliff, WB4NKL and the old friends, W4MEC. Any further check-ins for the old friends there? Nothing heard. And this is W4MEC and the old friends net. And good round there, fellas. Copied everybody okay. Even George. So a little light, but still a good copy. And what else we got here? Boom, yeah, it was quite noisy here Sunday. I got a gun club meeting tonight, so I won't be on 6 meters this evening, so you can sleep in. Anyway, what else about anything here? Finished my siding on my shed, a little shop out there that I built about when my son said my grandson was 2 and he's 11 now, so makes it 9 years ago. And got it all sided up there, no big difficulty. I had 2 bird houses on there, and the reason I put the bird houses on there, I don't know, this is really odd. I guess I don't know what you'd call it, but the birds were pecking holes in this foam board in the side and building nests in the walls. So when they had vacated the premises, I would tape the holes up, and they would come back next year and peck a hole in the tape and go back in the same spot. So I built 2 bird houses, and I put them on for finches. And, you know, they have a specific size. The hole diameter's got to be so big, and it's got to be so far from the bottom, on and on. Anyway, so I put those up there, and that cured the problem. And for at least 2 years, and I've had 2 separate families of finches living in there. And but this year I got another hole, so I said, you know, maybe I better do something. So I took my bird feeders down. When I got to that particular wall, I'd pre-cut all the stuff because it was in 2 windows, so I could just quickly put the siding up and put the bird feeders back. Because there weren't any eggs in there. I used my little camera, a little inspection camera, and looked in there and peered around. I didn't see any eggs, so that's a good sign that they will come back. You disturb the nest with eggs in them, they'll leave. And anyway, I got that done. I put the bird houses back in the exact same spot and walked away and came back a few minutes later and watched, and they had moved back in. So I'm glad they didn't get scared off. So now I have a nicely sided building that I have to caulk the joints and figure out what color to paint. At least all the siding has been pre-painted, so maybe I can wait a couple more years to decide on a color. So let's get started again with Dave, WA4LL on the group, W4MEC.
Okay, Charlie, W4MEC in the group, WA4LLR. Well, good morning to Richard and Larry and Cliff. And Cliff, I'm straining my ears with this T150, this HRO50T, and I'm not hearing the hum now. Somebody else might, but it's on a 10-inch speaker, and I still don't hear it. But you need more than one answer on that, so it sounds good to me. And Richard, glad that tree limb missed anything having to do with your house down there. I'm glad you didn't get damage from that. Well, looking at space weather, it's pretty quiet. Sunspot count's 90, solar flux index is 169, and the K index is 1.33. So fairly quiet for the moment. I'm going to give you a few things from this day in history. On this day in 1947, a gentleman that's slightly controversial was born. That would have been O.J. Simpson. On this day in 2019, Ross Perot passed away at age 89. On this day, for those of you that are into all kinds of music types, on this day, 1995, Grateful Dead performed their last concert at Soldier Field in Chicago. 1 month later, their lead guitarist and vocalist Jerry Garcia died. On this day in 1960, the U.S. nuclear-powered submarine Thresher was launched. 3 years later, it sank with the worst submarine accident in history. Another musical one, on this day in 1955, Bill Haley and his Comets released Rock Around the Clock, which became their #1 single. Here's an interesting one. On this day in 1911, physicist John Archibald Wheeler was born. He was the first American involved in the theoretical development of the atomic bomb, and he originated the term black hole. And on this day in 1856, Nikola Tesla was born, and we all are quite familiar with the work of Nikola Tesla. So, that's a few things from this day in history. Fellas, I'm going to sign out on this one. I got a busy day ahead. I've enjoyed it. Charlie, thanks for calling the net, and hope to see everybody Thursday. So stay as cool as possible. 7-3, God bless. N4LQ, WA4LLR.
WA4LLR, N4LQ. Okay, 73's there, Dave. And have a good day with all your business there. Yeah, well, I'm live streaming this one, so Cliff, if you want to go to the video and listen to yourself, you're welcome to do that. If you got a set of stereo speakers and a subwoofer and all that, you might be able to hear the hum. I mean, I may not be able to hear it either on my HQ110. I don't know, but it's coming through really good on this SDR, which I'm using now because I'm live streaming the broadcast, whatever. And I got tangled up on this SDR yesterday. I tried to install a logging program that used the TCI facilities in this particular program, and somehow it got the IP settings switched over to DHCP instead of the static IP, which I had put in there. And man, that drove me crazy trying to find that. So no soldering, no wiring, just computer problems. Finally got that figured out. So anyhow, yeah, like I said, we're running the Sun SDR and giving the boat anchor a little bit of rest today. So signal probably not as strong as usual. Running about 100 watts carrier into the AL811H. So let's see if I had anything. Everybody's sounding good though. Copying George pretty well, but a little bit of QSB there, a little bit of noise. So I wouldn't doubt that he's having trouble hearing me. And George fine on wanting to sell the B&W 5100, and I think it was an NC300, and the B&W 5100 with a single sideband adapter. So good luck on that, and we're anxious to get you over here when you move. That'll be nice. You'll no doubt be stronger here. So over to Buddy, WB4ARK and 4LQ.
N4LQ, WB4ARK. I was looking at my frequency here, and it seems to be a little bit. Oops. Excuse me. Seems to be a little bit high, but I think it might be my. Yes, it's my. Actually, I'm a tad low. So, Richard, sorry about the 3500C. I have looked everywhere for that tube in my tube arrangement in the basement, and I cannot find it. I don't know what could have happened to it. It's possible that I gave it to someone because I just didn't need it, and so that might be what happened. I just don't know. The problem with your amplifier, I wonder what that might have been. I lost the signal for a few moments. I'm trying to make connections here with my fingers to the antenna circuit, and I might have I lost your signal for a moment, and so if you could go over that again. Did you find the issue with the plate dip? Was that one of the issues that you got corrected? Cliff, I know what you're saying. I've looked at that circuit, and I believe that I might have an audio transformer that would work. And I think what I could do, I think I could put that in the circuit and have that function properly. I believe with a little bit of tinkering around with it, since I do have an extension cable, I can get that circuit to function, and I will take a look at that whenever I get this thing ready to button up. I was trying to figure out what's wrong with the Pan Am circuit. I haven't been able to get the circuit to work, so I'm tracing that out right now and trying to figure out what is going on with the relays that pick up for the crystals. They're not pulling in, so I'm working on that, and that's where we are on that subject. I spent most of yesterday trying to figure out another problem, but we'll get it done. And let's see, we had no rain yesterday, absolutely none. I thought we might have a possibility of some rain, but it didn't happen. So there you go. Some places did and some places didn't, and I think that has to do with the percent. So we'll hope for today. And it looks like we're back to 3715, and it's pretty stable. I think this is one of the most stable VFOs that I've experienced with the ART-13. Well, I guess that's about it for me here. So we'll send it on to George. And George, I looked at the meter for the SWR, and the ones that I have are the typical meters, 50 microamps up to 200 microamps, and that's basically what they used in those circuits. I don't have a 1 milliamp meter that would take the place of the one that you've got. So that's that. I do have a 50 microamp meter, which is scaled in SWR and power, and it's a 2.5 inch back diameter base, with the front's a little bit larger than that. So if you need that, you're welcome to it. So over to K4GDN, WB4ARK.
WB4ARK in the group is K4GDN. Yes, I would really like to have the 50 microamp meter. The only reason I said 1 milliamp before was that was what I was using at the time, but I can make 50 microamp work. That's an easy solution because I normally put a pot in series with them anyway, and that meter would be really nice if you want to hang on to it. Like I say, I intend to be up around Shelby for the Shelby Hamfest, and I may be in Roebuck before then, but we'll make some arrangements there. Just don't let it get away. Signals here are doing pretty good. I'm not copying much of Charlie. I didn't copy Richard and whoever was after him, and before Cliff, I didn't get them, but everybody else is coming in fairly well here. And between the HRO 5A1 and the NC300, I can get everybody in. The 300 is really an interesting receiver. It's got a lot of features. The tie-in with the RF amp and the AF gain control, where you can turn off the first RF amp, is a pretty interesting thing when you're dealing with weak signals. The thing that I'm looking at right now is trying to standardize on general coverage receivers and not have as many of the cam band only radios going. But I've got an HRO 5A1 and an HRO 50T1, and the T1 I really like. That's a nice receiver. I even have the 15-meter coil set for the T1, which was one of the big reasons why I got it. I really like that radio. Like I say, I'm copying everybody pretty much okay with the exception of Charlie and Richard and whoever was after him. And that's not too bad down here. Certainly be glad when I'm back in the upstate. Things should be better then. So with that, let's see. I'm going to pass it on to John. KZ4B in the group, K4GDN.
Okay, K4GDN in the group. This is KZ4 Bravo. Fine business, George. Copied all that. Charlie, you can play on my team. When you first call the net, you announce that we meet at 9 o'clock, even though it was 8 o'clock. And so we do meet at 8 o'clock, not 9 o'clock. Shifting gears, buddy, you had mentioned the Pan Am Crystal Control oscillator. To work 160, I've never found, well, I've got one, but it's not all there. I've been looking for the Navy version oscillator, very low frequency, that I think is 200 kcs to 1600. It's a 0-16 oscillator that plugs in that blank space. And if anybody ever has a 0-16 oscillator, I would be more than happy to purchase it from you. Shifting gears again, I have the only Kenwood TL922 linear amplifier that I have ever seen that has factory 10 meters, 28 megahertz. And I was working overseas in Malaysia on the island of Labuan, and when I would go for R&R, I would go to the fairly, relatively speaking, nearby Singapore. And there was a ham store there where I purchased an export model TL922, export relative to the United States. And it had 10 meters on it. It cost me $850 for the amplifier, which was, it costs about $1,600 here in the U.S. with tubes. In Singapore, the amplifier was 850 and the tubes from Japan were another 850. So it was actually a little more than the US, but I just didn't buy the tubes. I just bought the amplifier, and when I got back home, since the tubes were ridiculously expensive coming out of Japan, I purchased a matched pair for $200, which was a ton cheaper than getting them from Japan. But that's a very nicely built amplifier, and as I have mentioned before, the only problem I ever had was it tended to oscillate with parasitics, so I used the measure system and got rid of that. And I really lucked in. It's the only one I've ever seen that has 10 meters from the factory. I understand that when they first came out with it, it was just before the FCC screwed us over and eliminated 10 meters, so there might have been some domestic 10-meter models, but they went away very, very quickly. So, I have rambled on more than my fair share as usual. So, Boone, take it away. WA4EVK, if you're still there, KZ4B, over.
KZ4B in the group, WA4EVK. Well, John, at least you're more awake than I was this morning. I had myself a good strong cup of coffee that has caffeine in it, and I think I'm a bit more awake now. I want to apologize to George and Buddy, got the names in reverse. Buddy, I am looking for the nuclear detection info, like I said, and I will find it. It's just a matter of digging it out. Since I don't work in that area anymore, I haven't I packed all that up. And one of the things about yesterday I forgot, I did work a nice 6-meter opening into the northeast. Started about 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon and went for 2 hours. Looks like the conditions are getting more and more favorable for the VHF. I still refer to it as VHF frequencies. And with that, I'm going to remember and actually turn it over to Gary. K3OS to take it, WA4EVK.
Yeah, what happened to the power here? Hold on. There it goes, WA4EVK. K3OS, hang on here. Ah, it is low. There it is. All right. I think I got a bad pot. I'm running the Kenwood twins this morning. And I swear somebody replaced the carrier driving pot. But, because it doesn't look anywhere near factory original. It looks like a PC board mounting thing. I think the thing is just, I can't get into it to clean it, so I just have to replace it eventually here. Now we're back up to around 100 watts. Hey, Charlie, I was thinking about your color issue. When it comes to stuff like that, I look at how many gallons of paint I've got lying around of colors that I've used. I normally pick something I got on hand to do that. That's it. Guys, I'm going to say 73s on this round. I think I want to get outside here before the weather heats up and get my little chores done here in a couple of hours before the sun hits the back of the house. So everybody have a really good day. We'll probably catch up with you on what is the day? On Thursday. So, Richard, over to you. W4WU, K3OS.
Okay, thank you, Gary. K3OS in the group, W4WU. Very good. Some interesting things there. John, I know what you're saying about the straight 922 model. I think I may have seen one at some time. Maybe it was just on the internet I saw it, but I was aware that Kenwood did make some with 10-meter factory option on them. Mine does have the 10-meter installed. Buddy, I did find, I think, what was the problem? I found a solder joint from the load capacitor over to the tank circuit, and I was looking at it and down on the switch there, and I said, you know, that wire doesn't look like it's completely soldered in there. I wonder if I just moved it. I really would like for it to move some so I could repair it, and it did move. So I was real happy that it did move, and I resoldered it. Had a little bit of trouble getting it to flow in there just from the heat. Had to get a bigger, I use temperature control soldering station, and I had to get out my gun to get enough heat in that area to make it flow. And that does dip on the plate. Not a very pronounced dip on 168 and 40, but it does dip. And I can watch my output power peak as that dips. So it seems to be working okay now. I'm going to play with it some and see how I like it, and see if I'm going to keep it or not. But it seems to work well. And yeah, they are nice amps. I've had a one before, maybe even two. And I did put the measures mods in one that I had years ago, even the vacuum relay, John. And this one I found a Kiesler Engineering, and he makes a whole gamut of mods to improve that amplifier. And I got those from him and installed them as well. Some of you don't know the story behind it, but I got the amp and from an estate sale, and the guy swore up and down, he checked it out, it worked well, and all that good stuff. And when I get it home, I was installing those mods, and I happened to notice that at one point I needed to connect the coax back to the tank circuit, and I looked, wait a minute, where did I connect it? Oh no, there's no band switch. So they refunded me the money for the band switch, and I got a new one and put it in, and that's when I discovered the problems with it. So anyway, it seems to be working okay now. I'm going to say 73 too, Charlie. So mark me off the list. Hope all of you have a good day and stay safe during some of these thunderstorms that we're having. So anyway, over to you, Larry. WB4NKM. This is W4W. Century Go.
W4W. It's WB4NKM. Okay, Richard. Boy, you got a real nice signal there. There's some QSB, but most of the time you're up there and on the S meter, and that audio is sounding great from whatever you're transmitting on. And everybody's signal's holding up pretty good. I was able to copy George 100%. He only has 3 at times, but most of his transmission was sounding good. Charlie, those bird feeders, you got them going, sounds like, down there. That's a good thing. I meant to do that. That's something I just hadn't got around to doing. And doing other things. We got a new puppy here, and that's been taking up most of the time. Good morning, Steve. The son, 811, I had talked to you since you got the new amp, Steve, and it sounded real nice up here, big signal. I'm going to go ahead and sign too. I've got a date with Weed Eater, and I want to get out there and go around the house with it. So before it gets too hot. Sun's up here. I don't know what temperature's up already, but it's bright. Enjoyed being in here this morning, and we'll try to see everybody Thursday. WB4NKL to take it. WB4NKM.
WB4NKM. Here's WB4NKL. Well, good coffee all the way around. I was picking up George real well, and George, if you move, I won't have anything to test my receiver out anymore. It's always a challenge to see if I can pick up Myrtle Beach. So we'll have to get somebody else located down there to take your place. Let's see, bird feeders, we had to give that up. We had a bear that kept on tearing the bird feeder down, and so we've quit that for a while. Maybe the bear will move on out of the area, and we can get back to feeding birds. And let's see, I guess I'll get out too. There's a couple things I need to get a walk in, and I've got an apple tree out here that it's ready for the apples to be picked. I need to get the ladder out and work on that tree before it gets real hot. So say 73s and enjoyed it, and we will look for everybody there Thursday, I guess. Go ahead, Charlie. W4MEC, WB4NKL.
Okay, Cliff, WB4NKL in the group W4MEC, real good. Yep, I did say 9 a.m. Well, after so many years, decades of doing that, that's kind of cut me some slack. So maybe it's a subliminal message, so I don't have to get up and be awake at 8 a.m. and active, so hitting on all 8, in other words. Let's see, the 922, I forgot to comment on that, Richard, and I did the dip the plate and bring up the loading on that thing, and classic textbook tune up a tube amplifier and get like 700 watts out of it, and if I do what the book says, which is adjust it for peak output, I get 15 or whatever it's put rated at, 15, 12, 1500 watts. But if I do dip and load, I get less power. So, but I do get a dip, so on it, and you're questioning that. So, and last thing, we got about 2.5 inches of rain Sunday. We had a pretty good rain shower here throughout the day, and we needed it, but it'd be better if it came out over several days instead of one big downpour. All right, so we got a few stations here left for 73 round. We got Steve and John. And I think George might be there, and I believe Boone, so I think there's 4 of us. So we'll just do a quick 73 and settle down. N4LQ in the group, W4MEC.
Okay, yeah, just about missed you there. W4MEC and 4LQ, yeah, I'm pretty much done here and going to be checking out, so it's been a nice net, and I'll say 73s to everybody, and turn it on over to, I guess the buddy's still here, WB4ARK and 4LQ.
N4LQ, WB4ARK. Okay, Steve. Well, I don't have much else going on here, so we'll say 73 here, and thanks, Charlie, for doing the net. And look forward to Thursday. So with that, we'll turn it over to George, I guess. K4GDN, WB4ARK.
WB4ARK in the group, K4GDN. And copied everybody fairly well that time, even got a little bit of Charlie. And as far as the Kenwood Linear, the 922, I've got a 922A, which did not come from the factory with 10 meters, but Fritz, W4NTO, did the conversion of it for somebody else who had it before me, and apparently they used it a lot on CB, because when I got it, I had to do a lot of retuning on the front end for the 10 meter band. I also replaced the tubes in it, and that's been, I guess, at least 30 years ago, and it's still working fine. The thing I like about it is it does do 160, which my other linear, the Drake, does not, and I like having that available. And it's been a good amp. It's a little difficult to work on because it is so compact, I made a few changes in it. I put a step start in it, as well as put some resistors in the filament circuit to cut down the filament voltage. It's a little bit too high, which is not too unusual for those amps that use the 3-500s. I think my break was the same. I did some work there. But anyway, and as far as the ART-13 and the microphones go, I believe I used a D104 with mine. I don't know what changes I made to do that, if I did any at all. I can't recall. I sold it when we moved down here. I think Mark bought it, if I remember correctly. But anyway, with that, I'm going to say 73. Charlie, thanks for calling Annette, and I guess it goes to John. KZ4B, K4GDN.
Okay, K4GDN in the group. This is KZ4B. Fine business. Good copy. On the ART-13, there's a toggle switch. One position is for dynamic mic, and the other position is for a carbon mic, and it's hidden behind the tuning chart. I do remember that, and I always usually put it in the dynamic position and fed it directly with a D104. So that made it quite handy. 73s won't hold it. Enjoyed it, and I guess it goes to Boone's. WA4EVK in the group. KZ4B clear.
KZ4B in the group. WA4EVK. Well, I will say 73s to everybody, and get on off here and get busy. I'm sure the XYL's got several things to do this morning. And with that, I'm going to send it up to Charlie. Charlie, I got your, I heard you clear there on your Rifle Club meeting. Enjoy. And with that, I turn it over to W4MEC. 73s, everybody.
Okie dokie. Thanks for everybody that checked in today, and we'll look for you on Thursday morning at 8 o'clock. And y'all have a good rest of the day here, and don't kind of overdo it in the heat. 73 for now. W4MC shutting down the old friends net. Bye-bye.